Joining us now, Jarome Bell, Republican candidate for Congress, 2nd District. That'll be decided in a June 23rd open primary. Hey, Jarome, great to have you with us.
Hey, John, good to be here. Good morning. How are you?
What did you think of Pelosi's bill on Friday?
Well, I think that's just more distraction from Pelosi and the Democrats and just something else to get her base and the Democratic base more fired up and against President Trump. But I feel it's just total nonsense. It can't be done. It's unsustainable, and they know that.
Some of the Republicans have said they're looking for a compromise, more bipartisan. Others are saying, why do we have to do anything? Why don't we just wait a couple weeks and see what happens? Well, what say you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a hard no. My vote, if I was in Congress right now, would be a hard no on that. I'm more to let's open back up America. I'm here in Virginia Beach, and I've been one of the more vocal ones down here in Virginia Beach on reopening Virginia, and Virginia Beach never should have closed anyway. I don't think the data was there to just shut down so hard like Northam did from the beginning. So, that would be a hard no for me. We just need to open back up.
All right, well, I was at Virginia Beach on Saturday with my wife. We had a wonderful day. Weather was great. So here's what I can report on the scene. We had lunch outside. That was fabulous. Don't remember exactly where we went, but it was fine. Place was packed. The boardwalk was packed. 98% of the people, no masks, maybe 99. I think I counted 8 masks out of, thousands of people. Probably under 1% or 2%. You look on the beach, the don't go to the beach was not enforced whatsoever. 0. Not enforced at all. People with blankets, umbrellas. So a lot of people say, consumer demand's not going to come back. People are scared. Well, why were they out on the beach when you're not supposed to be out on the beach?
Well, I don't think people are scared anymore. I think people are smart, and that's what this governor and most of these Democratic governors don't give credit to the people for being smart. I've always said, I've never worn a mask. Since this whole thing started, I've never worn a mask. I've never, stayed at home. I've never isolated myself because free people do not quarantine themselves and healthy people do not quarantine themselves. Smart people that have immune deficiency problems, they know how to take care of themselves. If they want to stay home, then they stay at home, their parents or grandparents, and they wear masks if they need to. Healthy people don't do that, and I think more people are not being afraid anymore. The fear factor is gone. They see the numbers for themselves, and I don't think it's a big thing. We did a rally a couple weeks ago, a boardwalk rally down there at Virginia Beach, and we had probably over 100, 200 people, in our group. We rallied down there with no mask and, our American flags, and we had a great time. And so it just needs to continue to happen.
We're with Jarome Bell. He's running for Congress, 2nd District, Republican primary. 2 of the candidates in the race, Scott Taylor. He's the favorite, Ben Loyola and Jarome Bell. That'll be decided July 23rd. In a primary, if you want to vote absentee, you got to get it now, get a regular absentee, and you can go from there. Jarome, the Legislative Black Caucus wrote a letter on Thursday to the governor. They accused the governor in the letter of basically eugenics, potential genocide, said that the fact that he was opening up Virginia in phase 1 was disproportionately putting the black community at physical risk. They said in the letter that blacks were being used as economic quote-unquote guinea pigs. The letter was pretty stunning to me. I have no comment on it, but it was stunning that they would write this. I know you've had a chance to look at it. What was your reaction?
Well, I found it actually quite stunning too. But if you look at, let's say, the CDC reports, from their perspective, I'll answer questions from from 2 perspectives, theirs and mine. If you look at the numbers and what they're saying is, yes, okay, more black people have contracted this or contacted this. Yes, by the numbers, like by 464. If you look at the end of week report on May 9th, okay, 464 more black people have contracted it, okay. And I know they say black and brown people. Well, Hispanics only 14%. Hispanics are way down. Hispanics haven't really contracted this at all. So you really can't say black and brown people on that. But also as far as 65 years and older, more white people, 764 more white people have contracted it. So those numbers, so when you're talking about 400 people, 700 people, you're talking about really a small percentage or a minute percentage, just like 36.5%, 40%. So if you're looking at the numbers, yes. Is it a guinea pig type thing like the Tuskegee, airmen? Not the Tuskegee airmen, but the Tuskegee experiment? No, I don't think so. No, this is something that came from China. This is something that has affected, everyone. As far as disproportionately, maybe in the black neighborhoods, I don't have all the numbers for that or anything like that. But what I would like to see is this, okay? I would like to see these same Black Caucus members stand up when they start talking about these vaccines. I want them to come up and stand up when they start talking about these contact tracing and CPS come and take the kids, because that's where it's going to start first. That will start in the black neighborhoods first because of the socioeconomic, things that black people go through, the one bathroom type stuff, So I want them to say something about that. And also, I would like for them to come and speak about the isolation factor. Now, these are true studies. These are facts that the Cancer Society did a study on isolation, and more black people, since they want to say it, more black people actually die from being isolated from all other factors than any other race. Okay, so I'm more concerned about the people being isolated than not being isolated. If these people I read the studies, they talk about that they were essential workers. To me, hey, that's a good thing. If you are an essential worker, then that means by the governor's standards, you still had a job and you were still able to go to work. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, hopefully those businesses where they have to go back, if they're being made to come back, they have their PPE if they wanted to make them feel comfortable, or they have, the health measures in place to protect their workers. And, and if not, what course of action can they take? I think that's one of the things they need to know. What course of action can we take if we come back to work and we get sick? But to me, like I said, I've never worn a mask. I've never been afraid of this thing. You talk about someone that took 5 rounds of anthrax shot. If I didn't die from that, I don't think I'll die from anything. But overall, no, I think the numbers never matched the hype. Okay. And I think even black people need to get back to work. White people need to get back to work, so we can get on with our lives, so we can rebuild America and keep America going in the direction that it was going in, and that was being great. And also, one other thing, I'm looking at Australia right now, okay, because I know they're talking about this rebound, and things that may happen in November, why they want to keep schools closed, which is, really asinine, because school-age children really weren't affected by this. And if they did catch a flu or a virus, they recovered pretty quickly. So I'm really not sure why the schools were closed and why they are still talking about keeping schools closed, because school-age children haven't really been affected. But I'm looking at Australia. It's winter in Australia now. That's why I'm looking at Australia. And there's only been over the past 24 hours, 11 new cases of COVID. And we're talking about in the winter months, okay? So I think that's taken away, a little bit of their fire about, it's coming back, this rebound effect here in America. And I don't believe it. I think it's all to be able to push a vaccine. And my thing is say no to the vaccines. And like I said, this Black Caucus really need to focus on things like that instead of, saying that it's a experiment on black people.
Let me just read you, Jarome, this one line here, which took me aback. It says, under the current plan and with the already existent racial disparities that this pandemic and economic crisis are perpetuating, we will be creating a situation where black and brown Virginians outside of Northern Virginia will become guinea pigs for our economy. We've already seen this take place in Georgia, where the state's premature opening resulted in a huge spike in COVID-19 cases, with the overwhelming majority being black people and people of color. Throughout our country's history, black and brown people have been experimented on and used as unwilling test subjects before. We cannot allow that to be repeated here. That's a pretty strong statement, don't you agree?
Well, it's a strong statement if you're trying to push an agenda. I don't believe, like I say, today this is happening with this disease or whatever you want to call it. But if to take the words, it would have to be, okay, this was put out into the public by intention, and it would have to be designed to attack black people. So there's so many factors that would have to go into that for that statement to be true. I don't subject myself to that statement at all.
So what would your response be to Lamont Bagby? And I mean, you're African American. What would be your response to Lamont Bagby and the Legislative Black Caucus directly as it relates to the letter they sent to the governor, Jarome?
Well, I would say, one thing, if you're a legislator, of course, you have to look at the entire public, okay? This whole thing is unconstitutional to me. I'm a Constitution guy. It's unconstitutional. I think the governor has been in violation of USC Code Title 18, Section 242 the whole time. So you have to look at it as a whole. You can't look at it as one group and one, demographic, I guess you can say. But you have to look at it through the Constitution as a whole. And what I would say to him is that black people are smart and they can take care of themselves. They understand if the measures that they can take to prevent, I guess, from catching it. And really masks don't prevent it, and whatnot. But if they want to stay home, then they can stay at home. If they want to protect themselves, I'm talking about all people, not just black people, but people in general. If they want to protect themselves, then protect yourself, okay? If you feel the need. If you want to stay home, then you stay at home. But you can't put 8.5 million people on house arrest, and you can't put 8.5 million people on hostage on their lives just because you may not feel comfortable.
Talk about the 8.5 million people in Virginia. Then I'm going to get to Virginia Beach and we'll wrap. You got 8.5 million people in Virginia. You got under 1,000 deaths. The numbers are flu-like. Oh, by the way, they stopped reporting the flu deaths on the website, the Virginia Health website, like they did forever. So I guess nobody's dying of the flu now. They only die of COVID-19. But how does 1 out of 1,000 people dying in Virginia, the overwhelming majority of those over 75, 3/5 are over 75, how does that justify destroying your economy, your civil liberties, and your way of life? Just help me understand that.
Well, out of those numbers, the last numbers I looked at, it was 927 deaths, or 1,000, close to it. And out of that, over 545 of those were in the health facilities. So healthcare facilities. So I think that needs to be investigated. Why, so many people died in these healthcare facilities. And over 700 of those were 60 and up. So when you look at the age difference and you look at the disparity, that's what most of the deaths are coming from. It's not coming from people 20, years old to 50, and that's the base of the population. So, I don't think, 0.001 of the population dying. Of course, all deaths are bad. I lost my mom, my dad, my sister. Their deaths were just as bad, to other things like cancer. Okay, so I don't think it justifies what's been going on, and I don't think it justifies any more lockdown. I don't think those numbers justify any other orders from the governor except reopen Virginia.
All right, excellent. Jarome Bell, talk to me about Virginia Beach. I went there Saturday, people defying the governor's order, blankets, coolers, umbrellas. There was a lot of people there on the boardwalk, packed on the outdoor things where you can sit and have lunch outside. We did that. They were pretty full. 2% of people had masks on, maybe 1.5%, but it was very, very low. So are people defying? Are they willingly defying the governor's orders or what? What's going on?
Well, yes, they are, because the governor's orders, once again, are unconstitutional, and they are just those. They're orders. They're not laws. So they really don't have to be followed by a free society. When law is perverted to where it takes away a man's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then that's not a just law. And being in the military, when we're given an unlawful or an unconstitutional order, we didn't have to follow it. And being free people, I think that we need to exercise that right. And I'm glad the people of Virginia Beach are exercising that right, because we started that. We went out, with that rally to let them know, hey, get your lives back. Come out. You're free people. We're not going to succumb to any tyranny coming from Richmond. I mean, we've done it with the lobby day. We did it with the rally, drive rally up in Richmond. You know, so we've been letting myself and others. We've been letting King Northam know that we won't put up with the tyranny. I mean, it is. I mean, it's
King
tyranny
Northam.
coming from King Northam. And so, so I'm glad more people of Virginia Beach, the city where I live, the city where I love, and the people that I'll be representing in November are coming out and standing up to this. I love it.
So, in a couple words, what is your message to the Black Legislative Caucus?
Black people are smarter than you think they are. You know, so let them determine, let them decide how they will live their life, not you.
All right, Jarome Bell, thank you. People want more info on your campaign, Jarome. Where do they go?
They go to JaromeBell4Congress.com, and you spell that JARMEBELL 4 Congress.com, and they can also follow me on Twitter, and that's at Jarome Bell VA, and my Facebook page is Jarome Bell for Virginia.
All right, Jarome Bell, thanks for being with us.